Good morning and welcome. It's now March 18th. It's a Tuesday morning, and I want to welcome all you to my live stream. I am your host, Bob Pace, and here we are to fight CPS and hang on to your children. Yes, you heard me right. We're here to talk about how to fight CPS, how to help you. Um, who am I? I'm a loving father and a husband. I've helped raise 6 children, and I have 42 years of marriage experiences. And unfortunately, just like you all, I was attacked by CPS relentlessly over 5 years. They were bothering me every week about claims that I weren't taking care of, my wife and I weren't taking care of her children. Unfortunately, I did not know that they're using the layperson who was my in-laws, my wife's mother and father, her 3 sisters, and her brother from Ohio. They were calling in once a week to California to make up stories about us taking care of her children. None of this was proven. So 5 years I fought that. Now, this shortly happened after I lost my job after working for 45 years. At the age 60 in 2010, I was laid off, no fault of my own. Some contracts we were supposed to get were temporarily suspended, and the owner couldn't maintain the company and had to let me go and the rest of the people go. But anyway, I was attempting to try to find work back then. And I want to welcome Margaret King. Margaret King, good morning. Oh my God, you're kidding me. Did you talk to Vincent Davis? She said, good news, the criminal case against me was dropped. Margaret King is from California, and she's been fighting the case for a long time. She's been a part of my room every day. I want to hear about the details, how the criminal case was dropped. Did Mr. Davis have something to do with that? So anyway, I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. 5 years was false allegations. Then in 2015, they decided to be real mean and nasty, and they brought out the army to find out what's wrong with me or my family or my wife. They had assembled 2 code enforcement, 5 firemen, 2 uniformed policemen, 3 social workers, and they had a detective track me down. When he stopped me or had me stopped, he ordered me to come to my home and open it up. Now, I've always minded and respected the police and all the other government agencies such as CPS. Now, I call CPS the Child Protection System. It's a government entity that Congress mandated to have social service create a child protection system and social workers to watch neglect and abuse of our children, to make sure that our children were not neglected and abused. Well, what has happened is that they've gone rogue. A lot of the CPS systems are now doing worse things like falsifying and believe in everything they get a call in. Now, calls are made by mandated reporters who are professionals, such as doctors and nurses and teachers and policemen and firemen and caregivers. Anybody that works with children is required by law to report suspected abuse or neglect. And they take classes, they learn how to do that. I just found out yesterday a substitute teacher didn't know anything about that. I think somehow they forgot substitute teachers to be educated. So that was interesting. That was yesterday. So anyway, this assemble of this army, I was ordered to go home, and I respected the policeman. I did not know the laws. My law number 3 says you do not talk to policemen. You do not talk to social workers, CPS. You do not answer your door. You do not let them in your home. There's only 3 ways they can get in your home. 1, if you give them permission and say, oh yeah, come on in, which I did, which was stupid. 2, if there's domestic violence going on, some type of physical altercation with your children screaming or fights going on or arguments, they're going to bust the door in and they're going to come in. The 3rd way is a warrant. They have to get a court order from a judge, and it's a legitimate court warrant that has to be signed, a wet signature by a judge, and that the court clerk needs to emboss the stamp. What she does is that she clamps it, and then signature and everything raises above the paper, so you cannot forge the signature. Furthermore, you got to look at the warrant. That's not an old warrant from somebody else. The date's got to be a current date that's called a work date, not a holiday during the weekdays or on the weekends. That's not a legitimate warrant. It's got to be very specific. It's got to list the name of the person that they're addressing, or persons like a husband, wife. They got to list the children involved, and they got to state what the allegations are, neglect or abuse, or both. There got to be a specific date they can enter your home and an address of where the home they can enter. Then there's got to be specific instructions of what they can do. Talk to you, search your home, take your child, so forth. Those all got to be in that warrant. So be very careful of fraudulent warrants or warrants that have been used from other cases with your case. So those are the 3 ways. That's my rule number 3. Part of my rule number 3. Those are the 3 ways they can come in your home or talk to you or get your children. What you don't want to do is talk to them. Anything you say will be used against you. And since you're being accused of a criminal matter, neglect or abuse of your children, you're entitled to a representation. Your constitutional right says that you must have attorney through all parts of the arraignment, all parts of the trial, all parts. Now, that could be one of many attorneys. It could be a public defender, a court-appointed attorney, or a hired attorney, or a pro bono attorney. Pro bono means free. Oh, I forgot another one. A pro se, which is yourself acting as the attorney. That's pro se, pro bono, court-appointed attorney, a public defender. In those cases, all those attorneys are going to really be worthless because you won't be able to get your children back. A court-appointed attorney or a public defender is only trained in criminal law. They are new. They're just starting out in law, and they only have a criminal law background. They won't fight for your case. They have a workload of 30 or more clients, and they work for CPS. They're going to give your children to CPS. Also, if you let the children get court appointed or public defenders, they too are bad attorneys. Every parent gets an attorney and every child gets an attorney. What you want is paid professional attorneys. And I know you're talking about a lot of money. If you're a mother or father with one child, that's 3 attorneys. And they are expensive. Like in LA County, to get 3 attorneys, the retainer starts at $5,000. That's $15,000 that you have to come up with. And I'm sad because a lot of you aren't in that market for $15,000. I wasn't. I recently lost my job. I was saving my savings to keep my home. See, I had bought a home after 45 years. Anyway, you need the court attorney. And an easy way to get away from the police or the social workers is don't answer the door. Don't come to the door. Don't let them in. Be quiet. If you're outside and you encounter them in the walkway, in the yard, or whatever, you can tell them that after they, you say, "Hi, can I help you?" And then they got to disclose what they're there for. If they say they're there because they have a child being accused or something, that should trigger your mind that you need an attorney. So a good way to tell them is say, "Hi, I understand you want to talk to me. I need my attorney present. We have to reschedule this. Can I have your name and number and I'll get back to you?" You have every right to say that. Then what I would do is not walk in your home, get back in your car and go to family or friends, because you got to think about your plans, because right now you're in a serious problem right now with them. Now, Margaret, before I keep talking on and on, I like to hear how the criminal charges were dropped. Can you call in and, tell me about it? I'd love to hear about it, Margaret. So that being said, that's a good excuse to get away from the attorneys. That you need the attorney present. You need to show your attorney the warrant and get his action of what to do. You can say be the next day. You don't have to be, on your horse about it. You just get their name and number. Make sure you check their IDs, because a lot of times they say the bad number. Good morning, Margaret. Thank you for calling in. Well, you were there. Hold on a second. Thank you so much. I think something was blocking it. Let me try it again here. Yeah, hi, Margaret. Let me turn you up. There you go. Good morning, and great news to hear from you.
Yeah, I am ecstatic.
Oh, I can imagine. Was that because of Mr. Davis, or how did it happen?
Well, Mr. Davis did speak to the public defender over here at this criminal court, the attorney that was originally appointed to me. No. And the case was dismissed. Lack of evidence. They're bogus charges. It was all starting, with CPS knows about all this too. Boy, they were honing in on this one. They were waiting for me to get a conviction so they could just make my CPS case. It would have been worse. I could have got a conviction. I would have went to jail, faced a felony, would have affected my nursing license, my whole life. Oh, goodness gracious.
Wow.
Awful, but I'm so pleased.
I mean, it's amazing that Vincent Davis was able to do that, huh?
Yeah. Yep. He is wonderful.
Yeah, for all you listeners out there, I have an attorney, Vincent W. Davis, that I've been working with since 2015. He's been fighting CPS for 39 years. He is a professional licensed juvenile law, family law, dependency lawyer. He has 39 years of experience. He's also a trial attorney. He can do trials. He can also do lawsuits. When your case is closed, he can help you sue for millions of dollars. He has won millions of dollars from CPS. They don't like him. They train their workers against his videos to try to work around him. So he has helped Margaret. Margaret's been talking for months. How long have you been coming on my show, Margaret?
For about 3 months now, 3-4 months.
Yeah, Margaret's been on my show regularly. She comes on in the morning and comes on in the evening. And she's part of the family. And I think the reason why she comes on there is that she gets the support from me, because I try to encourage you all, never give up. No matter how bad it sounds or how bad it is, you will get your children back or you'll get your case dropped. And I have an excellent attorney. He's in Arcadia, California, for LA County, but he'll go anywhere and he'll help defend you all. He'll go to other states, in Oklahoma, and so forth. And he is there for you. He is the real thing. And so, anyway, I'm so glad to hear the news. I mean, go ahead.
It will be presenting me in the appeal also coming up.
Oh, great. Now, what's your appeal about?
The appeal, it's a trial appeal in the 5th District Court because the jurisdiction and disposition hearing didn't go so well, so we had to appeal it.
Okay, understood. Well, you got a good attorney there. I tell you, he will definitely work in that case there. Now, where's the 5th District Court located?
Fresno, California.
Fresno. So you have to help you out there. Okay, all right. I'm so glad, because there's another lady I'm talking to in Fresno that needs the help too. So it is a hard thing. Yeah,
this I think was the worst part of everything. You know, facing criminal charges and then having a CPS case, it just makes things worse, makes matters worse.
Right. Now, to refresh us, your criminal charges, what were they accusing you of?
I'm almost embarrassed to even say, to be honest with you. Really, this whole ordeal has been so embarrassing. I could counter sue too if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to just forgive this person and move on, move forward.
Yeah.
It was for grand theft felony. I was falsely accused.
Of what were you stealing?
Apparently some money that was lost in my own house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
money
boy.
that was lost in my own home by a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old lost the money and I got accused of it.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. My grandson lost the money.
Yeah.
Lost his mother's money.
Yeah.
Ironic about all this is that the person that filed these bogus charges on me, CPS placed the girls with her. So I'm praying and hoping we can fight this case too, because she's going to end up in a lot of trouble for all these false accusations in the end.
Well, where are what are you? How many grandchildren are we talking about?
2 that are involved right now with the system are there's 2, a 7-month-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay. And the mother is unfit to take care of them, or how's she able to take care of them?
Yeah, she's not able to right now. She's just not able to, but she's getting there. She is getting there.
Now
But
that is your daughter, right? That's your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter's 2 children.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something about if she can't take care of the children, where are the 2 children right now?
They're with my eldest daughter, the one that filed the bogus criminal charges against me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can even list her on the list of people to have the children placed because she's always had some sort of animosity towards me. And ever since she was a teenager, she's just been very difficult. And no matter what I did, it wasn't good enough for her. So she really did it this time to me, though, and it'll be the last time. It will be the last time. If I have to file a restraining order to keep her away, I will. I'm going to have to.
Now, are you using that book that Vincent has written, the Grandparent Guide, Step by Step in California of Gaining Guardianship?
I don't have that one. I have the Fight CPS. I have that one.
Okay. I was just asking for your comments regarding any of the books that you have from Vince Davis. Are they helpful?
Okay, I'm going to look that one up. How do I subscribe to the newsletter, Bob? I'd like to subscribe to the newsletter every month.
Well, I would like you too, because it's only $1.99. But you would contact the office, the 888-888-6582, and tell them you want to subscribe to the newsletter. You might see it at the stand.store. I need to find more information about that from Vincent.
Okay.
If you call that number, that's his office. Make sure anytime you talk to the office, you mention that Bob Pace sent you. Anytime you talk to Vincent Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's important that Mr. Davis knows that I'm spreading the word about him and helping him get clients. Also, with the instead of calling in cold at the office, if you mention Bob Pace, they know who I am.
Okay, I sure will.
And then also with the book, if you use the code capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, 50, you'll get 50% off of the Grandparents Guide. It's a step-to-step guide for grandparents to get guardianship. Because I think that's what you want to do, is you want to get guardianship, or do you want to do adoption?
Well, I did have guardianship of the 5-year-old. If and when I get the girls back, I'm going to go for adoption. That's what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, because they need a good mother like yourself. It's a shame. And all you out there listening, sometimes family members are the worst ones to report an incident. You see, the problem we have is we have the two types. I say the mandated reporters who are professionals, are trained, know what to do, and they have to by law report it. But then you got the lay person. And the lay person could be a family member, a relative, a sister, brother, whatever. They love to do things to antagonize family members. And they love to use CPS as a weapon. But it's a very dangerous weapon, because you're dealing with a very dangerous entity. Not all CPS are kind. I think the one in Fresno is a pretty bad one. I think it really is. So,
the CPS case is out of Merced County. They're the worst too.
Yeah, Merced County, Kern County, LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside, all those counties seem to be very corrupt. And they have one thing in mind: they want to make money. They want to make money, so they give out bonuses, incentives. And the biggest incentive that they have is in 1994, when President Bill Clinton signed into law the Incentive Act, which basically says that if CPS entities have the children adopted into foster care right away, they'll get a bonus from the federal government. They'll get a bonus. Now, why do you give a bonus to force children to be adopted in foster care because it takes away from the family reunification. The complaint was the family reunification takes too long. Well, the program called domestic violence takes a year. It's a 52-week class, and it's a year-long class. So you know you're going to have a minimum of 1 year of family. My case was 3 years. It opened in 2015, the summer of 2015, and it closed in December 2017. The result closure is I got my 2 boys back, but my daughter was forced to divorce from her parents, change her name, and seal her birth certificate, get a new birth certificate, get a second social security card, and get adopted by a foster care family. She was told to do that. That was based on a social worker retaliating against us parents because Mr. Davis had caught her perjuring herself while she was under oath in court. She lied. She lied so bad and lied many, many times. And she was angry and frustrated. And she told us parents, you're never going to see your kids. That is a firsthand account of retaliation. And if I had the money, I would sue her. But I spent all my money trying to get my children back. In fact, I sacrificed a home I worked for 45 years to get my kids back. A home that I worked 60 hours a week, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. And I got that beautiful home, and I love that beautiful home. And my children, as I was talking early in the show tonight, this morning, is that they were taken out of the home and there's no danger. You see, CPS should not take children from the parents unless there's danger. If there's problems with the parents, like maybe discipline, or maybe they're still doing drugs recreationally, or whatever the case may be, that is not a grounds to take a child. It is when they are doing physical abuse to children. That's when you have, things where the children should be taken. At all costs, there should be some attempt with family members. And at first, we did get them with family members for over a month, but they didn't realize this case was going to take so long, and it was too much work for these family members to take care of her 3 children. The sad part is they were taken right away and put into a shelter and put into a risk, because the shelter was next door or adjacent to the Orange County Juvenile Prison. And their play yard and the play yard of the shelter was adjoining fence, and they could talk to criminals, people that are serving time. That's not where you want to put children. Furthermore, the yard had beehives that got out of control and were stinging the children. The shelter was dirty. There was rats and roaches. The food was terrible. The sleeping accommodation was overcrowded. That's not where you put children. My children had their own individual rooms. They lived in a beautiful home, and they were chauffeured to school, elementary, middle school, and a private school. They were picked up, and they also had activities with Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and AYSO soccer, and they had activities in school. So my children were nowhere near in danger. But CPS is really bad. I tried to fight them. I went to the top director, and it was a waste of time. After that, I gave up and found Mr. Davis. The problem about my daughter is that he would have addressed it in the very beginning.
Right.
And I did not have him till later.
This system's more bad than good.
Yes, it really is. There's retaliation. I mean, I feel this way of reporting neglect and abuse is too loose. And I know people are going to argue, but I think if anybody reports abuse, they should do so in writing, not verbally on the phone. They should sign their name to the piece of paper with a phone number that they can be in touch with. That number will be kept confidential, will not given to other people. But if the instance found that's not true, then they should be able to release the information and prosecute them. If people knew they could be prosecuted for making false reports, I'm sure there'd be better reporting. Right now, it's a 50. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, they can make money that way too, going after people that are making these false accusations and bring criminal charges against them. And we have a right. I've always believed we have a right to face our accuser. They won't even tell us who the reporting party is. We have to figure it out on ourselves.
I know. I did not know. It was my in-laws, and I did not know until 10 years later. My
that
case
law needs to be changed immediately.
Yeah.
The reporting party needs to be disclosed. Period.
I agree. And also, if you sign your name to a sworn statement, people are very careful with their choice of words. I mean, if I have to sign my name and disclose my phone number, then I'm not going to put in there that something's not true. Now, the professional people, I find, are 75% right. There's still 25% they may have thought it was, but it wasn't.
What happened to the part where you're innocent till proven guilty?
Not in the court of law of CPS. You are guilty until you're proven innocent. It's the only law that you're guilty till you're proven innocent.
Is it an actual law, or are they just making up their own law? Because isn't that in the Constitution?
I don't know. I'd have to research. That's a good question, Margaret. I would have to look at our Constitution amendments and our Constitution rights and see if there is a law that states that. I don't. Yeah. There's stuff. I'm still studying CPS all the time. They have 3 periods: 1600 to 1875, 1875 to 1962, and 1962 to the present. But the laws for CPS weren't signed into law to 1974. I've yet to find when Congress asked social services to set up a CPS program. I've yet to find that time period. So I've been putting together a time period of events. All I know is 1994 was the Assentive Law passed. And then in 1978 was the Indian Child Welfare Act. There's some things in the 1980s. It's really hard. It's very vague, but, studying CPS and getting to know them, because what we need to do is we need to lobby at Congress. And right now I'm hoping that DOJ investigates, because they're investigating social services. They should also investigate the child protection system and find out where all this money's going.
Right. It's also known as the presumption of innocence. So that would be another term we could look up just to get more information about this, because I've always known, a person to be innocent until proven guilty. This is absurd.
Yep. Hi, Brandy Lee. I've talked to Brandy Lee before. I believe she's from Fresno too. I believe she's from Fresno too, Brandy, Fresno, California. She has a question. Maybe, Margaret, you might know the answer. She says, "Hello, Mr. Pace. Do CPS," let me put that up since it's a Facebook message. She says, "Hello, Mr. Pace. Do CPS have to provide the parents with their background and qualifications?" I think the answer to that is they don't have to, because I've asked for that, and I don't know if they have to or not. You can find the background and qualifications by using the internet and doing a search browser.
I just found this in my notes.
Okay.
The innocent until proven guilty, also known as the presumption of innocence, is a fundamental principle in many legal systems, including the United States, where it's protected by the 5th and 14th Amendments.
Okay.
Here it is, the 5th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantee citizens that no one shall be deprived of life, property, or liberty without following the due process of law. The 14th Amendment applies this principle to the states in the United States. So there we go. It's right there. So, yeah, they make up their own laws. They make up their own rules. They think they're the doctor, the therapist, the judge. They just think they can do whatever they want to do.
Brandy, that is a good question. Margaret, do you know anything about that CPS workers have to state their qualifications?
An investigator, I believe, would be able to disclose that information.
But do they have to?
Do they have to? No, under the state, no, because they have immunity under the state. Not federal, but under the state.
I like to have that changed. I would like to every social worker. Well, here's my problem with social workers. Every county, every state, and every, in the United States and around the world, their qualifications all over the place. Mm-hmm. I think to be a social worker or to be a child protection system worker, that you have to have a basic college degree in social work.
Yeah, they do have to have appropriate, the right credentials.
Well, I don't think so. I've not yet found a law that says they have to, because my social worker in CPS didn't even have a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm, I agree. There's so many that don't. There's 20-year-olds working in there. How could they have a master's degree?
Right.
They're only 20 years old.
Well, I think that, and I know this is going to be hard because in this way I have a shortage of social workers, but I think at base, they should have a degree in social work. I also think at the same time they're working on that social work degree, they should have a minor in clinical psychiatry, meaning they need to have a background on how to deal with psychological matters. And so if they have a minor, a major and a minor. Furthermore,
go ahead.
I think furthermore, they should have a master's if you're going to get hired as a social worker. Now, you're going to say, wow, that's going to be hard to do. No, it's not. I know that a lot of people have masters for jobs. I mean, a lawyer goes to the bar exam and gets the exam. I think also you need to have a license that's renewable every 5 years, because changes happen all the time. See, child protection system is a critical area. Yes, we need to protect our children, but we don't need to go the other way and ruin parents or shoot parents or put down parents. It is studies proven time and time again, the best parents to raise a child are the biological parents, a mother and a father. And a lot of you are not with a mother or father, and you're trying to raise a child. That is hard. That is hard. People don't take it seriously when they make babies. Yes, it's lots of fun to make babies. Don't get me wrong. But there's responsibility that comes into play. And you have to be responsible. If you're going to make love and there's a chance you make a baby, you got to be prepared to have that baby. And if you're going to have that baby, you got to be prepared to raise that baby. You got to provide it everything it needs at the beginning of life. It's in that circle of life. They start out depending on parents. And so you got to be prepared. And one of the worst things I see in our education system that needs to be changed is we need to have life skills at all level of education. Life skills that are conducive to people's level, like in kindergarten or even in preschool. Bullying takes place a lot with young children. That needs to be addressed. That's a life skill that can be talked about and taught to kids. Also, the chance of you being picked up by strangers, That's a life skill that needs to be addressed. They can be taught at preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, elementary school. Now, when you get to middle school, you have to talk about sex because middle school people are experiencing sex and drugs and relationships. Because young people in the 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade, those grades are, interested. Boys are interested in girls, or not as much. Girls are interested in boys, but they're like that. And then when it comes time for high school, you need to talk about marriage and divorce and taxes and how to do your bank account, how to save money. There's lots of life skills, things like how to play football, how to surf, there's so many life skills that can be presented at different time periods of a children's growth that it should be a class that's taken with them the whole time. Because a lot of the parents aren't prepared for life skills. A lot of parents don't know the life skills. And CPS should be exposed to them when they're in high school and into college. They should know what CPS is and what's the purpose of it, and if you get in trouble, how to get out of trouble. So I think, I
wanted to just say that other countries are told this about the United States, that there's a kidnapping ring here in the United States, and foreigners from other countries are warned before they come here.
Well, yeah, we have heavy trafficking happening all the time. I live in a place which is close to the Port of Long Beach and Port of LA. And container shipping happens every day. And so easy to round up people and put them in a container and send them off to be used for the sex industry or for slave labor. And I'm talking about young boys, young girls, older boys, young parents, things like that. People are being taken off the street. It's so easy. I was watching this scenario where this guy is hanging out with a car door slightly ajar, watching the kids walk down the sidewalk. And then what he does is, as the kid passes, he grabs the kid, slips it into the open door, and the driver of the car speeds off with the child. That's how easy it is to kidnap somebody.
Parents' worst nightmare.
You just understand. You go through and kids walk to school. In the bushes, a guy's hiding or a girl's hiding. And a car's parked nearby. They grab the child. They may use a chemical like chloroform and put it on a swab over their face, and they're soonly passed out.
And it's so traumatic, too, because this can happen in a child's life at an early age, and it stays with them for the rest of their life. I'm a perfect example. My sister and I were walking to school, and we were both almost abducted in LA County years ago.
Yeah.
And it still stays with me till this day. I will never forget the little red car. The guy exposed himself along the way, just following us, and we started running, and as we ran, the faster we ran, the more he accelerated his gas pedal. And then we finally reached school. We got in there, reported to school officials, and then they sent out a notice to all the parents about this guy in a little red car.
Yeah, well, I think that's good. But there's so many cases where the children are kidnapped or the young adults are kidnapped. Even the elder people are kidnapped. You probably think, well, why would they want to kidnap it? You have to understand, the other parts of the world don't have restrictions like the United States does.
Right.
They don't have the restrictions.
Right. Children, other countries are allowed to marry at a very young age, too.
Well, yeah, those are the social parts of things. But anyway, going back to Brandy Lee's question about qualifications or credentials, I don't know of any law or any policy where it says they have to disclose that. But I do think that is a question. If you're ever involved with a CPS, you have every right to ask them, what are your qualifications to be a social worker? And if they can't answer you, tell them you want to speak to a supervisor and you want another social worker. You're not stuck with that social worker, by the way. All you listeners out there, you can change social workers like you can change court-appointed attorneys. If you don't like the performance, you can change it. Now, Brandy Lee, I hope I answered your question. Yes, Margaret. Go ahead.
I stand corrected. I was looking at my notes here about the innocent until proven guilty. Apparently, it's not in the U.S. Constitution, but if you read the Fifth and Sixth Amendment, those two do deal with the concept of innocent until proven guilty. So I stand corrected. I really thought it was part of the Constitution.
Okay.
But the Fifth and Sixth Amendments, they both deal with the concept of it. So if anyone wants to look that up, I'm going to read further on this as well.
Yeah. It's actually started with the Romans. You're right. It isn't explicitly stated in the U.S. Constitution.
Sorry, Bob, I'm here.
Yeah, it isn't stated in the U.S. Constitution, but it is stated in the Fifth, Sixth, and Fourth Amendments. But you know how CPS gets away with it? They don't have a criminal trial. It's only in criminal trials that you're innocent till you're proven guilty.
Oh, okay.
That's the difference. You know, I had some argument, or somebody I was asking, why don't they have a trial by jury at the trials you go to in dependency court? And they did say there's some court system that allow a trial by jury, but you got to ask for it. You got to ask for it. It's a little hidden known that you can have a trial of your case by your peers.
I apologize, Bob. There was a homeless lady came up to me and asked me for a lighter just now. I had to kind of talk to her and
it's okay.
Her on her way.
Okay. Now, countries that have a civil law system are Brazil, China, France, Italy, Philippines, Poland, Romania, and Spain. Now, I'm surprised that Great Britain or France or Germany are not in there. But anyway, I definitely am going to research this more prominently now. Now, I am now at my bewitching time. It is now 11, almost 11 o'clock, and I have to go because I have calls to make. I now have calls in the morning from 8 to 10 and from 11 to 1. And what it is I talk to people that want to hire Mr. Davis as the attorney. And so I work with that. So if you want to call me and you want Mr. Davis to be retained, please do so. My number is 626-698-0990. And that 888-888-6582 is the law offices of Vincent W. Davis. And below that, where it says stan.store/attorney VWD, that is a website. You should also put in there http://. But that's a list of all the programs that Vincent Davis has. So I want to thank Margaret so much for calling in and talking.
Thank you, Bob.
On my show, and also the encouraging news that our attorney Vincent Davis does earn his keep and has helped her fight off an appeal that she's been fighting for months of wrong.
I do have a question for tonight's show on if CPS workers are allowed to question your child without the parent's consent.
Yes, they are.
To ask you that tonight.
Yes, they are, but we'll talk about it further. Mm-hmm. I did look up that. They are allowed to do that.
I know they can go into the child's school, but if the parent,
you're talking about if they
no.
come to your home or something like that.
Right, without the parent's consent.
Well,
that'd be an interesting topic tonight.
Yeah, it will be, but the thing is you don't allow them in your home unless they have a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it simple.
They didn't have my consent at all when they spoke to my 5-year-old.
But how did they get to your 5-year-old?
I wasn't home.
Oh.
I was not home. A 17-year-old, my niece let her in.
Yeah, that's the mistake. Yeah, that's when the mistake was made. The 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. So you got to instruct all your parties of your home, never open the door. That's told in the very beginning of life, is never open your door to strangers.
That's right. Do not speak to strangers.
I agree. Well, I want to thank you, Margaret, for calling in and sharing the good news. Brandy Lee, I'm so glad to hear from you. I hope you will be retaining Mr. Davis. She's from Fresno. She's from Fresno, California. And then there is Margaret is from Merced County. And so she has another part of her case that she's fighting. So, God bless you all. Thank you for the emojis from Neri and James. Thank you very, very much. Also from Janie there too. So I got to go, but I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Margaret's already told one of the topics we're going to talk about is can CPS workers talk to children, or what the procedure of talking to children. Okay, so that's a good topic to have. Thank you, Margaret, and God bless you all.
Day.
Yeah, this is Bob Pace signing off.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to fight for your kids.